Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter her much older boyfriend is not welcome in our home? My, female, 48-year-old, husband, male, 46-year-old, and I have a 20-year-old daughter, Ellie, who is currently on vacation from college. About 5 months or so ago, Ellie told us that she had a new boyfriend, who I will call Tom. This came rather out of the blue as Ellie had not mentioned seeing anyone or that she was dating, but both my husband and I were supportive and happy for her. However, Ellie was strangely secretive about the whole situation. Usually, she is an open book, especially with me, and would always share details of her personal life. On this occasion, she would not show any pictures, and we knew next to no information about Tom, other than that they met at a party through a mutual friend. Ellie has spent the past month of her vacation in her college town, and the plan was always for her to come back this weekend. Ellie asked if she could bring Tom with her for a few days of the trip as they were getting serious, and she wanted him to meet us. Although we mentioned that we knew barely anything about him, Ellie expressed that it would be a surprise and that we would love him. Given he is clearly an important part of our daughter's life, we agreed and said we would look forward to spending the weekend together. Yesterday morning, we went to pick up Ellie and Tom from the airport to drive them to our place, and we were shocked. We knew instantly that Tom was much older than Ellie, and he certainly was not a college student. I was just in a state of surprise but did not want to cause a scene, and told my husband to do the same. We drove home, but it was a frosty journey, which Ellie commented on. When we arrived, my husband point blank asked Tom how old he was. Tom said he was 44. I was immediately disgusted. He is only 2 years younger than my husband and old enough to be Ellie's father. My husband continued to interrogate him, asking how they met and the whole background. Ellie explained that it was at a party and Tom was there because he is well known around the town here, and they realized they had a lot in common and hit it off from there. I really did not want to hear any more, and my husband told Tom to leave. Ellie shouted and said how unfair this was, and we had not even given Tom a chance and that he made her happy. Tom could sense the tension, so left, and Ellie followed behind him. I texted Ellie to tell her we would love to see her and to come over to discuss the situation. She asked if Tom was welcome, and I said he was not. Therefore, after labeling me a judgmental a-hole, she told me she was not coming and that they would be staying at a local hotel and catching up with friends. I feel terrible about the whole situation and do not want to lose my daughter over it. My husband is not budging and says he would have to be held back if he ever saw that man again. Am I the a-hole for saying he is not welcome, or have I done the right thing? Relevant comment. I had similar, and my foster dad was what I believed amazingly chill about me dating a guy in his mid-30s when I was 19. I spoke to him over a decade later and he said he wanted to deck the guy, but knew if he pushed me then I would dig my heels in and the relationship would go on far longer. Instead, he asked me to check in so he knew where I was and when I would be back to make sure I was safe. He did, however, do other things to gently highlight the inequality of the relationship. For example, he would make sure to say how nice I looked every time I left the house. The boyfriend would send me back to the house for not wearing makeup or the right clothes. It did not take too long for me to put 2 and 2 together and realize the boyfriend was a control freak who wanted a trophy girlfriend. Relevant comment. NTA. He was at a college party because he is well known around town? That means he's well known for preying on younger women and probably also for buying alcohol for underage college students. Relevant comment. Play the long game here. Best story I have heard. The dad befriended the guy. They talked about stuff relevant to their age group, did dad-aged stuff together, talked about things like insurance and retirement and house payments, went out to eat at boring grown-up places instead of sports bars, and just generally acted like middle-aged men. She realized she was basically dating her father. They had almost nothing in common, and broke up. Relevant comment. NTA. Former cop. Advocate. I would suggest you do not give her a reason to distance herself further from you and your husband, because Tom needs to stop your support and brainwash her to think you are against her and you are not. I encourage you to not exclude him. You can get together somewhere public so he is not in your home, but you are not letting him keep your daughter away while you navigate this precarious situation. All the best. Update 1. First off, I wanted to thank everyone for their comments and messages yesterday. I was overwhelmed with the responses and did not expect my post to gain so much attention. I know opinions were quite split, but I appreciate everyone for being honest. Please accept my apologies for not responding to anyone, but there has been a lot on my mind, so I thought it would be best to provide an update for those interested. For those who have not read the whole post, a brief summary is my 20-year-old daughter, Ellie, brought home her boyfriend of 5 months, Tom, to our house. Tom happens to be 44, and my husband and I told Tom that he was not welcome in our home. Ellie and Tom are currently staying in a nearby hotel. I was incredibly down throughout most of Sunday, so I spoke to my husband and said that I really wanted to see Ellie. However, I knew that would not be possible without also seeing Tom, so I mentioned to my husband about meeting Ellie and Tom at a neutral location for brunch today. I asked my husband if he wanted to join, but he said he did not feel in the right frame of mind at this stage, so we agreed that I would go alone. I was anxious throughout the drive, but when I met Ellie, those nerves subsided relatively quickly. I was generally just happy to see her and that she was well. I still felt a bit uncomfortable around Tom, but I thought this was the opportunity to find out more about him and his intentions, as it were. We sat down and I tried to find out as much information about Tom as possible. When I asked him to elaborate on being a known around a college town and being at the same party as Ellie, Tom said he used to go to the same college when he was Ellie's age, loved the place and decided to never leave. Throughout his time, he still frequented the main bars and places that college students do, which meant he remained in the community in some form. I found it quite an unsettling response, but remained polite. In terms of other details I learned, Tom has never been married, nor does he have any children. He works as a software engineer and enjoys cooking and meditation in his spare time. Something felt off about him, but maybe I already had my preconceptions. Ellie spoke more about what a good match they were and how much in common they had. When I asked her to elaborate, she spoke about how they both loved the same spots around town and campus, with apparently the same love of sushi, and she has never met someone so mature and understanding. Tom also said that Ellie was perfect for him and he was serious. I probed if he had had many other relationships with younger women. Ellie did not enjoy this question, but Tom said that he generally did not do relationships, yet something about Ellie had drawn him in. Eventually, after about 2 hours, we ended the brunch. Ellie said how nice it had been and she was so happy I had shown an interest in Tom before asking whether they could both come to dinner some evening. I told her that would be nice, but I would have to speak to her dad. Tom shook my hand and that was that. My husband remains reluctant, but I feel it is the right thing to do if we want to maintain a relationship with Ellie. I did not like Tom off first impressions and this has not done much to convince me. Something is just off there and some of his answers solidified my thoughts about him not being right for Ellie. I suppose I will have to remain open-minded but appreciate any thoughts. Relevant comment. Please make sure she's on reliable birth control. Relevant comment. It would be best to get some background checks done on this man. There could be a lot of lies involved. He sounds sketchy enough already. Relevant comment. Wonder if OP could call the college and ask if he is known there? Maybe get a gauge on him if he is. Relevant comment. I appreciate how hard you both protect your daughter. But at the end of the day, she is an adult and she cannot make her own mistakes if she feels pressure from you guys to make decisions. Thing is, if she keeps pushing away because you guys are reluctant to let her be an adult all on her own, she will not come to you when she needs help either. If this guy ends up being a bad guy and she needs someone to be there for her, why would she come to you if she feels as though she is just going to be shamed? I would say an entirely different spiel if she was, say, 16 or 17. But she's an adult in college learning her way around this world, and she's gonna need support in controlling her own life without you directly deciding what she can and cannot do. You said she was secretive about it from the jump, and that tells me she knew your reaction. It's time to show her you can be a supportive friend when she needs you instead of an unsupportive parent. This was a good first step. Update 2. First off, apologies to everyone for not updating sooner and my lack of replies. I post and read everyone's replies and messages, but it is so overwhelming that I struggle to know who to respond to. However, a lot has happened in the past week and enough people asked for an update, so I thought I would provide one. For context for those who have not read the original post and first update, my 20-year-old daughter Ellie brought home her boyfriend, Tom, from college for the first time. He turned out to be 44, and it has been a huge shock to my husband and I. I met him, without my husband, and my daughter for brunch without feeling entirely comfortable about the situation, but my biggest priority is not losing my daughter. After I came home from brunch, I spoke to my husband about the possibility of Tom and Ellie joining us for dinner one evening. My husband was completely against it, but I told him that if we still wanted to exercise some degree of control over the situation before we pushed Ellie away entirely, this was something we had to agree to. It took a lot of convincing, but my husband agreed and we invited Tom and Ellie to come round the Saturday just gone. Before then, I ended up talking to my oldest daughter and Ellie's sister, Holly, 23, about the situation. Holly was shocked and Ellie had told her nothing. Holly decided to do some social media digging but struggled because Tom did not have much of an online presence. She said she was coming to dinner on Saturday. Although I was reluctant because it seemed like it would spiral, I eventually said yes. So, we get to the dinner on Saturday, and Holly just continually grills Tom. It was far, far worse than I did. She asked him if younger girls were his type, or why someone his age is still hanging around at college parties and other small remarks. Ellie told her multiple times to leave her alone, and I tried to act as a mediator. My husband was just silently seething, and I could tell how uncomfortable he felt in Tom's presence. Eventually, Tom and Ellie said they had some big news to share. Ellie announced that she and Tom were planning to move in together for the upcoming college year. I almost spat my drink out. Ellie had planned to live with other friends, and when I questioned this, Tom answered that he realized that he probably will not have another long-term relationship. Ellie makes him so happy, and he does not want to waste any time with who I want to be my wife and the future mother of my children. At this point, my husband lost it and told Tom to get out of his house. Tom stood up and seemed affronted, and Ellie started crying. I could not remember the last time my husband had shouted like that, and I think it surprised Ellie. Holly said it was deserved and said she needed to get away from their pedo freak. It all ended up with Ellie leaving in tears with Tom, my husband going upstairs, and I was just inconsolable. I have reached out to Ellie since, but she has not responded. I do not want her to move in with Tom, and it seems he is trying to derail her whole life. She is 20 and does not need to be married and have kids, especially with someone his age. She has never had a relationship before though, and she appears infatuated to the extent she is not going to listen. My husband has told me that if Ellie marries Tom, that is it, and he would not want a relationship with her going forwards. I cannot agree with that and will always love Ellie, but it does not mean that the whole situation has not made me incredibly sad. I would appreciate any advice. Update 3. A 1-year update. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter her much older boyfriend isn't welcome in our home? About a year ago, I posted on here about my then 20-year-old daughter, Ellie, who had started dating a 44, now 45-year-old man named Tom. For those who have not seen it and want to read, I have shared the original post and the 2 updates here. So much has happened since then that has been so overwhelming that it caused me to completely forget about this. However, I stumbled upon this Reddit account earlier today, and due to the amount of messages I received, I feel compelled to share an update. For those who do not want to read the whole post, the long and the short of it is Ellie is engaged and pregnant. The engagement happened around January, after only around a year of dating, and the pregnancy was announced in March. Ellie is keeping the baby and is due late this year. I'm still heartbroken and struggling to come to terms with the whole affair. Ellie was so bright, cheery, and with an active social life. Now she lives with Tom in her college town, despite having dropped out of college herself due to the pregnancy, with barely any friends due to most of them distancing themselves from her because of Tom. My husband is also low contact with Ellie and wants nothing to do with Tom, while my daughter Holly also feels the same way and wants nothing to do with Ellie or her baby for as long as she remains with her predator. I still keep in contact with Ellie as much as I can, not only because I love her but also as I know that if things crumble, she'll have no one to turn to. She's ostracized herself, which makes me incredibly sad, and I never thought things would turn out this way. There was a glimmer of hope around March time, where Ellie called me on the phone in tears after discovering that Tom had cheated on her, unsurprisingly, with another college student, and an even younger one than Ellie. Although I did try and talk some sense into her and figured this would be a wake-up call, she decided to stay with him after a combination of love bombing and finding out she was pregnant. The wedding has been set for next summer, so the baby can be focused on now. My husband and other daughter have already decided they won't go, and many others on my side of the family are uncomfortable with the idea. I'm trying to stay strong and hope I will love my grandchild, but this isn't something that will ever get easier. If there are any other groundbreaking updates, I will try to share. If not, I appreciate everyone's support and advice. It really meant more than you know. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for having no sympathy for my husband after he begged me for years to sleep with another man and now he is upset by it? Been with my husband for 12 years and pretty much from the start he told me he has a fantasy to watch me sleep with another man. He is not the first man to ask me to do this. You would be surprised how many men ask women to do this. The thing is though, my husband can be a little bit insecure to the point where I told him a year after we got together that I was thinking of leaving him because I cannot deal with his constant questions of who someone is and how I know them every time they comment or like something on my socials. Or every time I mentioned someone at work, he would start making passive-aggressive comments. He got better and said he realized how much of a contradiction he was being. Mostly his insecurities have calmed down with the odd flare up. About 3 years ago he really ramped up the asking me to sleep with another man. He would mention it at least once a week and tell me which of his friends found me hot and stuff like that, and he would talk dirty while we had sex about me and other men. About a year ago I caved a little and said as a test I would start posting revealing pictures on socials and see how he handled it. So I started posting gym selfies and outfit pics of me wearing very revealing clothing. Then when we went to Ibiza I sunbathed topless and even posted a picture on my socials where it was obvious I was topless and captioned it, "And men do not like tan lines, do they?" He passed all these tests and never once reacted negatively. While in Ibiza we went clubbing and he watched me dance with other men and seemed like he really enjoyed it. Around 6 months ago I said okay but made him sign a piece of paper, obviously not legally binding but just trying to get it into his head, that this cannot be classed as cheating. It is a sex game to fulfill his fantasy. He said that all types of sex are okay and nothing is off limits and he will choose the man so I cannot be accused of any sort of cheating. He said he was fine with this. He is a big man, 6'4" and goes to the gym nearly every day. He chose a little skinny guy, 5'5" and not a bit of muscle on him. Anyway, tale as old as time. He wanted it, got it, and now is not happy and is upset. He says I enjoyed myself too much. It was obvious I preferred the sex with the other guy. I was louder and gave him head longer, etc., etc. There have been numerous complaints. I have just shut him down every time and said I told him this is how it was going to go, and he did not listen to me, and I showed him numerous posts on Reddit of this exact thing happening. Men begging, their wives giving in. The men cannot handle it and they blame the wife. I said that is not me. I am not taking any blame. I did exactly what I was told to do. Sleep with another man and put on a show and act like a porn star. I did that. I held up my end. He is not holding up his end of either enjoying it or accepting he asked for this. He is saying I am being an a-hole by showing no understanding, or in his words, taking accountability for my actions. He said if I knew this was going to happen, I should not have done it, and should just keep saying no. It is like an adult who would purposely put his hand in a lion's cage and then cry it has been bitten off. Am I the a-hole? Should I be more understanding? Commenter asked, not the a-hole, and also this would be a huge red flag for me about the relationship in general. He broke your trust. Opie responded, I'll be honest, it is really bothering me. Commenter asked, so you know he was a deeply insecure man and considered leaving him the past before it. You researched it and showed him numerous accounts of how men regret this. Do not like it makes them even more insecure. You then post a series of tests that are not really the same and he parses. Then you sleep with a man not of your choosing just for him. And he does not like it. Just like he has never really gotten over any of the above. At what point are you going to give yourself the self-respect of not putting up with his behavior? Opie responded, I am getting to the stage now where I am realizing the bad far outweighs the good. Commenter asked, his fantasy stems from his insecurities. You did nothing wrong, but your husband cannot handle what he asked you to do. I am all for consensual kink, but there should be zero pressure from either side. If I were you, I would be pissed that he pressured me and then got mad when he got what he wanted. I am sorry, but that is some bad stuff. Opie responded, I agree, which is why I say it is all his making. Seeing someone not take responsibility for their actions is very off-putting. Commenter asked, wasting 12 years on this a man is the real crime here. Like he showed his hand from the jump, so please tell me he is either rich or amazing in bed? Like I want to know what is the pull towards him? Opie responded, he was a genuinely good man in all other aspects, very romantic, split the housework, hard worker, extremely caring when I was ill for a year, but it felt like this was just an itch he needed to scratch and it was becoming all-consuming. Update 1. A lot of the comments on my original post opened my eyes to the fact he was setting me up to be the bad guy and not enjoy myself to make himself look or feel better. Unfortunately, his plan backfired as I enjoyed myself very much. I was leaning very heavily towards leaving him, but last night he asked me if he could pick someone else for me to have intercourse with, and we can try doing it again. I lost it and told him to get out my house and never come back. I have never been so angry with someone. He is messing with my head, and that was the final straw. He is at his parents' at the minute. I look forward to him telling everyone I cheated. Commenter asked, oh, he is the a-hole. I just read the other post and obviously he has convinced himself that he is a bull and now his fragile little ego has been shattered. Cucks enjoy being cucked. He wanted his imagined prowess vindicated and cannot handle the fact the smaller guy was better. I am sorry, but I think therapy is the only possible savior at this time. He will dwell on it forever otherwise. Opie responded, no therapy. I am done. Commenter asked, not the a-hole but where? He wanted to selfishly fulfill a fantasy only to have a backfire on him, and now he is but hurt. Too bad. And yes, do pass that form along to anyone who comes after you all bothered. Opie responded, I have the form and screenshots and even videos of the night with him directing me and telling me what to do if he wants to go that route and badmouth me to people. Commenter asked, maybe warn him that if he dares breathe a word about infidelity to anyone, you will go public with everything. Hopefully, that will shut him up and save yourself the public embarrassment. Opie responded, no, I will let him bury himself. Commenter asked, did these kind of requests go through texts? If so, send anyone going after you for cheating those texts. Not the a-hole. Opie responded, I have got hundreds of text messages. I have got the messages between him and the man on the swinging site. Got videos of me and the man and my husband telling us what to do, plus my husband doing something which I'm not going to go into detail about here. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for messaging the husband of my husband's affair partner? I am not the original poster. She posted in Am I the a-hole? I found out my husband, of nearly 20 years, is cheating, for the second time. I know, fool me once and all that, but needless to say my blood will not stop boiling. We are getting divorced. I just had this hunch that the affair partner was also married. Something about my husband's comments about her did not add up. Since he was too checked out to even bother with a burner phone, it took about 5 minutes with the phone bill and 10 minutes of Googling to find an email address for her husband. I am not on Facebook, so probably would have been faster if I was. I sent him an email, and within 5 minutes my husband was texting me asking what I had done, saying I destroyed a family today. All I can say is I wish someone would have told me the first time he cheated, so I would not have hung out with the woman and been friendly. This guy is in a similar situation as he and my husband know each other. I actually sent the email from a burner email address and did not out my husband, in case I was wrong somehow, but it is clear to me based on my husband's comments that the affair partner named him. The affair partner swears she has been trying to end things with her husband, and he will not listen. Maybe that is true, but it is also possible she is totally playing my husband and has not said anything to hers. Affair partner's husband wants to talk to me, and I will probably call him. So am I the a-hole for telling my husband's affair partner's husband about the affair? Did I destroy a family? Should I have just kept my mouth shut? Should I not speak to him? My boiling blood may be clouding my judgment. Commenter asked, well, all I can say is that the affair partner's husband would have appreciated knowing this happened vs not knowing. Opie responded, that's what I thought too. I know I would have, and I say that from experience. Commenter asked, if she was trying to end it with her husband, then you did not destroy a family, you merely assisted her in the process of ending it with him. Truly though, not a-hole. The cheaters ruined their relationships, not you. Telling the truth equals the bad behavior, cheating. Opie responded, that is why I think my husband is getting played. I will be curious to hear the other side, and if she was truly trying to end it. Commenter asked, funny how your a-hole husband did not give a darn about your family. The only reason he is concerned about hers is because he is not going to keep getting laid now. He can dry hump a cactus into the sunset. Opie responded, LOL, thank you for that. Commenter asked, the golden rule basically says do as you would be done by, and you said you wish someone had told you back when. Therefore, you did right by the man. I agree wholeheartedly, by the way, for the same reasons. Your soon-to-be ex-husband and his affair partner destroyed their own families. If your husband tries to blame you again, refuse to accept it by either stating plainly, I do not accept that you and she is solely to blame, or simply by laughing hysterically in his face. I recommend the latter. Wishing you healing, peace, and future happiness, original poster. Opie responded, thank you, I like the way you stated that, I do not accept that, you and she are solely to blame. I plan to use it. Update 1. First, thanks all for reading my original post. I am still amazed how many people took the time to comment. So many people made me laugh, so many shared personal stories, it was truly cathartic. On to the update. The day after my original email to the affair partner's husband, he and I talked on the phone. He was shocked to learn about the affair, poor guy. I could tell he was struggling, as he wanted to believe all the lies she had told him, and was desperate to believe they had not had sex, like she told him they had not. My husband says the same, but given the fact that he is a proven liar, I did not believe it for a second. Affair partner's husband said he was worried for his kids. He explained he was embarrassed as my husband and he are part of the same circle. I said I could relate with my first experience of infidelity. He was grateful to me for reaching out, and thanked me. After that conversation, my husband texted me upset that I had revealed his prior affair and that I only did it to hurt him, because it is, of course, all about him. I explained that the conversation I had with this guy had nothing to do with him. When I mentioned the prior affair, I mentioned it in the context of relatable life experience. I honestly thought it would not be a secret between cheaters anyway, but I guess the affair partner was not happy to learn about it. I know, shocker, cheaters cheat. I guess she thought she was special. At this point, my husband was still sleeping at the house. I woke up the next day feeling like I could not breathe. It ended up being a full-blown panic attack, which only stopped after I started screaming at my husband, saying he needed to leave the house. He is officially not living here anymore and will be packing up the rest of his stuff during an upcoming weekend away that I have planned with friends. I am very sad and very angry, but I'm starting to feel like I can breathe again. Sorry to disappoint so many that wanted me to meet him in person and sleep with him. All of those comments made me laugh. That would have made for a much more exciting update. If anything else noteworthy happens, I will post another update. Commenter asked, how did your husband know what was said in the call between you and the affair partner's husband? Opie responded, the husband told the affair partner many of the details and she went straight back to my husband. Like a sick game of telephone. Story 4. I, 27 female, just found out my husband, 28 male, saw his ex-girlfriend the night before he proposed to me. Is there any chance this is a completely innocent situation? I have sort of been going through it this week, and everyone in my life is telling me different things, so I thought I would come on here and ask you guys. So my husband and I got married 3 months ago. We have been together for 3 years and now I just feel like everything has gone down the drain. We got into a fight a week ago over practically nothing. It was a stupid fight. We were both really stressed all day because of a personal issue, and it sort of just compounded right before we went to bed and we just started yelling at each other. As we were fighting, my husband just sort of yelled that ex-girlfriend's name was right and he should not have rushed into marriage. I stopped dead in my tracks. It felt like a bucket of cold water had just been poured on top of me. He immediately stopped talking. It was so silent. My body was shaking. I ran out of the room and locked myself in the spare bedroom for the night. The next morning, I found him in the kitchen, and he looked like he had not slept a wink. I felt bad, momentarily, until I remembered what he said. He ended up confessing that the night before he proposed to me, he had gotten a text from his ex-girlfriend saying she needed to talk to him. He showed me his phone and there the text was her asking, practically begging, to see him, and him agreeing. He explained that she had just been broken up with. Apparently this guy was horrible to her, and she thought that my husband would be the only person to understand. And they had gotten to talking, and he had told her he was going to propose to me tomorrow, to which apparently she began asking questions about me, about our relationship, stuff he just began willingly divulging, and then she told him that he was rushing into marriage. According to him, although I have no way to validate any of this, he got up and left, and has not talked to her since. He reassured me that last night he was just stressed, he did not mean it, and that there is not a day that goes by that he does not feel like the luckiest man in the world. He was crying, begging me not to leave him. Things have been tense ever since then. He seems to be overcompensating, or at least he is overdoing it because he feels like that is what I want. I do not know what I want. I do not even know how to begin to process this. Too long didn't read. Husband admitted during a fight that he saw his ex the night before proposing. She told him he was rushing into marriage. He now says he regrets bringing it up and still wants our marriage. I feel totally blindsided and do not know what to do. Commenter asked, I'm curious, did he ever apologize for not telling you sooner that he went to see her? Opie responded, he apologized after he told me everything that happened, not specifically that he didn't tell me sooner, he just sort of kept apologizing for going to see her over and over again. He also apologized specifically that he threw it back in my face the night prior. I think he sort of was inferring to the whole situation in a way, but he didn't specifically say the words, I'm sorry for not telling you sooner. I'm not sure if it matters, but yeah. Commenter asked, does it matter to you that he didn't tell you about it sooner? Opie responded, yes, it does. We have been married for 3 months and we got engaged 2 months before that. 5 months feels like a long time to me to keep this hidden. When I said I'm not sure that it matters, I was more saying I'm not sure if the exact wording he used matters, not that I do not care that he did not tell me sooner. Relevant comment, that's an unringable bell. It's not even so much that he saw her and did not say anything. For me, that could have been fine. It's that he's clearly been hearing her words in his head the entire time you've been married. He went into your marriage with doubt and did not think you two, supposedly a partnership, should even get to have a conversation about that. That's the deal breaker for me. Relevant comment, how can anyone get past this type of betrayal? When he yelled that at you about her, and that he agreed he should have never married you, it would have been the end for me. He told you he regrets marrying you. How can that not always be in the back of your mind going forward? Relevant comment, I think you two would benefit from couples therapy. He lashed out in anger to hurt you. I understand he immediately regretted it, but he also ended up exposing a lie he hid. He broke your trust seeing her and not mentioning it to you. Did he have a last fling with her? I would have more questions I would want answers to. He owes you a genuine apology and changed behavior. Update 1. Okay, so I just want to say first that I am appreciative of everyone for giving me solid advice, or at least the people who tried to. It's been an interesting couple of days, but things are looking up. He's been sleeping in the spare room since the argument, but we've had a couple conversations and have come to a conclusion. We have a counselling session booked in for next week, and until then we have decided to keep our distance, as in separate bedrooms. Thank you to everyone who recommended counselling. For some reason my brain completely forgot that was an option. I want to give him time before we go to our first appointment to really think about what he wants. He kept saying that he did not mean what he said, but I need to be sure of that before proceeding. If, on the off chance, he truly believes what his ex said, then I need him to come to that conclusion himself, because I do not think I could take it if I knew he was staying with me because of pride and not because he loves me. We are going on a date tomorrow night. He's taking me to the restaurant we went to on our first date, and he seemed excited when he told me, so I guess that's good. I am excited to have some normalcy return to our marriage, so I hope that maybe it's a turning point. As for his ex, to give some context I did not give in the last post, my husband met her at a bar, not at her apartment or a hotel room. Apparently she looked distraught, or at least like she had been in a bad situation for a while. And I do empathize. I do not want any woman to be in a relationship that is abusive or emotionally draining. I do believe that my husband did not cheat on me, and I know many of you might think I'm being naive about it, but I know my husband. Or at least I think I do. I asked him why he said it if he did not mean it, and he said he is not sure, which is concerning to me, so I hope he can figure it out in time for the counselling session and we can unpack it. I love my husband and I know he loves me, so while my anxiety is through the roof right now, I hope we can sort this out because I cannot imagine a world where he and I are not together. Relevant comment. Even with this framing, I do not know if that makes it worse. You say that she was heartbroken and distraught from a previous relationship, and your husband thought it was appropriate to not only reveal that he went to see her before your engagement, but also use that distress as an information weapon against you as a means to hurt you and your feelings. Is he the one taking the steps to set up counselling? Is he the one doing the work to rebuild trust here? It's good that you're being conscious. Keep doing that and being realistic. Relevant comment. I understand not wanting to walk out because of this. You have put 3 years into this relationship, you are married, and your lives are entwined in so many ways. People here will judge you for fighting for this, but it is completely understandable that you want to. What I want you not to forget is how you felt when he said those words. I do not want you to forget how you felt that entire night locked in that room. I do not want you to forget the anxiety you are feeling right now. And I do not want you to forget that your husband deliberately said one of the most hurtful things you could say to a partner when having a stupid fight about nothing. He could have said anything, and he went far below the belt. If those are the verbal punches he throws when you are fighting about nothing of consequence, what is he going to say when you are fighting for something of very real consequence? Relevant comment. I am pretty sure I know exactly why he said it. He was mad and he wanted to hurt your feelings, and that was the best ammunition he had to do it. When you do the counselling, if you guys decide that you do want to work through this and fix the relationship, healthy communication is going to need to be a huge focal point. He needs to learn how to talk through a disagreement without taking shots at you. Story 5. My boyfriend, 37 male, blames me, 26 female, for being harassed at work. Do I leave him? Okay, so my boyfriend of 9 months and I have just had a big fight, and now I am home alone and seeking advice from strangers, I guess. I'm going through a bit of an ordeal at work where a male colleague became slightly obsessive with me. It started with me just thinking he was being nice, but it seems to have accelerated very quickly. We had hardly any contact until he was moved into my team and quickly became friends as he liked a lot of the same things as me, favorite television shows, musicians, etc. After a few months, I did notice him make some odd comments about my boyfriend, who he has never met but seen on my Instagram, things like, I would not picture you with someone like him, or we will see how long that lasts, and he is the kind of guy that will hurt you in the end. I thought he was being very presumptive but did not think anything of it. Maybe that is my fault. Then the flirting started, or what I think he thought was flirting, where he would compliment me in really specific odd ways like the way I walked or how nice I smelled. Some of the comments became quite sexual, so I started backing away from him, but as we are in the same team they continued and just got more bizarre. He would compare me to characters in the shows we both watched but would reference specific sex scenes and how I would do it so much better. Very gross, very inappropriate, I know, but I have never been one to cause a scene or get anyone into trouble, so instead I thought I would just tell him straight that he was making me uncomfortable and he needed to stop. This was yesterday, and he did not take it well, shouting at me, in the office, that I had no idea what the heck I was talking about and soon I would get it. Not sure what he meant by that. He was told to go for a walk and cool off by our team leader. When he returned about 20 minutes later, he immediately apologized and said he had some things going on outside of work and assured me it would never happen again. He even thanked me for raising how I felt and said that he would never do anything to make me uncomfortable again. This morning I woke up to the longest string of messages I have ever received. It was sent at 1 a.m. and started by him saying that he was in love with me and we were meant to be together. The messages then range from creepy compliments to saying he was going to find out where I live. One part literally reads, I was put on this earth for you and you only. There is no other option. I will not bore everyone with putting in the whole text, as this post is already too long, but there are some things that I found very threatening. I called my manager this morning and said I would not be coming into work and that I needed to formally complain about him. She was understanding, and we had a long Teams call and started the process with human resources, etc. So, now my boyfriend's response. This morning when I showed him the message he was supportive and insisted I do not go to work and stay at his. He wanted to call off work too and call the police, but I said I just wanted to focus on informing work today, etc. and think about how to proceed. However, when he came back from work today, his attitude seemed to have completely changed. He said he thought it was messed up that I did not go to the police and that he thinks I have feelings for this colleague. When I assured him that is not the case, he told me that guys do not write messages like that if there is nothing behind it, and that I must have been at least leading this guy on for him to end up acting so irrationally. The more I tried to defend myself, the more irate he got, and he started saying that he hated how I acted so innocent all the time when he knows deep down I'm a bad person, and that he should have known I was a low-value woman. He has never ever called me things like that before, and it was so upsetting. Beyond that, he ended up asking me to leave, so now I have had to come back to my flat when I am feeling pretty vulnerable and a little scared. For context, I got with my boyfriend quite quickly after I moved to the country I am now living in, so my only friends are his friends. All my family and friends are back in my home country, so nowhere else to go. I really think that what has happened is not my fault, and I am incredibly disappointed with his reaction, especially when for the past few weeks I have told him how uncomfortable this guy has been making me, etc., so he has been kept informed. However, I think it is important to note for context that he was previously cheated on by his ex-fiancée, so I know that any hint of cheating is a big trigger for him, which may explain his reaction. So, do I break up with him? Sorry for the dragged out tale, but I wanted people to have all the context. And a bit of a rant, to be honest, as I do not want to tell my family all this. It will just worry them considering they are so far away. Commenter asked, please go to the police about your coworker. I think you are underreacting to the danger he poses to your safety. His obsessive behavior is really scary, and it sounds like it will only escalate. As for your boyfriend, the low-value woman comment seems like he has been red-pilled. At the heart of his outbreak is probably fear and concern, but it is really troubling that he is taking it out on you. This might be a good time to leave and visit home, but not without first filing a police report. You are definitely in danger, and stalkers do not take no lightly. OP responded, thanks for your advice. I think you are right with the holy red-pilled thing, and think I know exactly who he must have spoken to yesterday to have come back with that stuff. Just very confusing when he has never indicated thinking that way himself before. I'm going to see if he reaches out to talk, but nothing so far. As for the coworker, I have stayed home again today but have an in-person meeting later with my manager and human resources as they have opened an investigation. I have blocked my colleague on everything, which I think some comments said was a bad idea, but I did not realize, so I have not heard anything from him, but that almost is making me more nervous and paranoid. A work friend is going to come over later to talk about involving the police, etc. Thanks again for taking the time to comment. It is really appreciated. Update 1. Quite delayed. It has been a journey, but I had some lovely concerned messages, so I wanted to post a quick update. Thank you for everyone's comments and messages. You were all bang on, and I'm so glad to say I'm out of this situation. Boyfriend update. He came back apologizing, as many of you predicted he would. He confirmed my assumption that he had spoken to a specific friend that day who had gotten him riled up on the idea that it is always the girls who seem innocent that are not, and that I had clearly been cheating with this coworker. At first he did pretty well at apologizing and taking accountability on the phone, but when we met up I could see he was still angry at me for some reason. Turns out he felt abandoned by me because I was not the first to reach out after the fight. That is when I knew it was over and I could not forgive him. How he was making this situation about himself still blows my mind. I left him, received some more red pill abuse and have heard nothing since. Good riddance. Stalker update. Things got a little scary. I returned to work while he was suspended under investigation. Only 1 week later I had gone out for dinner, and when I returned home he was standing outside my apartment building. It was dark and he was wearing a hoodie, so I did not realize it was him until I got close enough to see his face. I completely froze, and for a second I stupidly thought he was going to apologize and beg not to get him fired or something, but instead he said he had missed me. I have no idea how this man found out where I live, but I think he is very unwell. I backed away into the street, but he grabbed me into a hug or something, not totally sure of his intentions. Luckily, some passers-by heard me shouting for him to get off and intervened, forcibly had to get him to let go. He then ran away. I finally went to the police and started the process of getting a restraining order. Even after this, I received sexually explicit emails from weird email addresses and requests from newly made Instagram accounts. I have since deleted and remade all accounts. After this experience, I have moved back to my home country. I wish I had been brave enough to stay, but I was honestly living in fear, not to be dramatic, and just did not have the support of friends and family that I needed. Anyway, just wanted to thank all you strangers again that made me feel justified in my feelings. I really have learned a valuable lesson to raise the alarm when you feel threatened, and truly hope none of you have to go through this experience. Also, if someone loves you, they should never abandon you in times of crisis. Stay safe out there. Commenter asked, I am so sorry you encountered such toxic people, felt threatened, abandoned, and terrified. It is awful what they put you through. You are incredibly brave for setting boundaries and sticking to them in such situations. The timeline does not matter. What matters is that you stood up for yourself and took action. That can be particularly difficult at work and in a romantic relationship where they seem to have been a huge part of every aspect of your life in a new country. Please know you are a strong woman for identifying what you need and what is important to you, then following through with the big life changes to make it happen. I hope you feel loved, safe, and supported. OP responded, "Thank you so much, I really appreciate this. It has been hard to recognize myself as strong when I feel like I ran away, but I really believe it was the best choice for me. And to be honest, I'm just so happy to be home. I hope all the best for you too." OP commented, "Thank you to everyone for your comments. I have showed my mum and you have all made her cry. This was her first introduction to Reddit, so now she wants to make an account. It is crazy how much comfort all of you have brought me in feeling justified for leaving. Thank you again, and I hope all the best in the world to all of you."